Joya,
Yes.
you didn't ask for another date with him. What was the turnoff?
Specifically, the turnoff was when I asked that
finna make up
question
something right now.
about would you date a single mother? And Jacoby, you proceeded to tell me that basically you're a high value man and you are too good for a single mother. However, you did also tell me that you were raised by a single mother, which is profound for me to think that a single mother's not good enough for you, but it's good enough for a woman to raise you. That's unfair.
The host asks the single mom if she'd date this high-value man as if she was the one that rejected him first, to make it seem her value is just as high as his. No, he rejected her and she's bitter about it because the whole video is about why he doesn't want her, not the other way around. This chick would swallow his seeds in the parking lot if he asked her to. She's clearly hurt that a man looks at her as trash.
And it's very insensitive to women out there who have children.
All right, so just because it's a cycle, I wanted to continue.
It doesn't have to continue.
So what I'm saying is that
it's more about why would you cut off and say that single women are not on the same level?
What you're supposed to learn from is history. So you're a
What's
very
that got to do?
intelligent
What's that got to do?
You're a very
with it?
intelligent woman.
Single moms are not and will never be on the same level of a high-value man, because there are a lot less high-value men than single moms. Single moms are a liability. High-value men are an asset. One can make you broke, the other can make you rich.
So you were raised by a single mother?
Yes. And
Was your
I
mother still
struggled.
alive?
I struggled. My mom's still
Did
alive.
she struggle or did you struggle?
Both of us struggled.
Okay, so your words that echoed all around social media, and I want to make sure that we have this clearly, were, I'm a high-value man. I've done things to step up my echelon, and I'm not going to settle for a single mother.
Yeah,
Did I have
sure.
that correctly? I want to be clear.
Yeah, we'll be selling.
Right.
Which type of incest argument is that? Why would this guy want to date someone who reminds him of his mom? That's disgusting, but that's an argument a lot of black women make, especially to try to guilt a black man to date them. They literally will say, yo mama black, as if the guy dating someone the opposite of his mom means that he hates her.
What about your character?
I have great character. I built myself to basically have better choices. You want to know why? Because women can choose and make a choice.
They can.
They can say, I don't want to date a man that makes less than 6 figures.
They can.
And then what are you doing? You're
But we're not
demeaning a man.
talking about that.
Women
That's
can
not
talk
the
about their
situation
things.
at
What I
hand.
want
Listen,
to
hold
be
on.
That's not
A
the
woman can say, I
conversation.
won't date a man less than 5'8", and the man could be 5'4". Do they care about
What does that have to do
ostracizing all of those
with
men?
anything?
If a fat man is sitting here, he can be a fat man, right? But if a fat woman is sitting here, you would say, oh no, we're body positive. Oh, no, we can't say that. It's all about picking her up.
The guy points out feminist hypocrisy, and of course, these modern women didn't want to talk about that. Not only that, as he points out, women's flaws are celebrated. The whole movement of body positivity is not for men who are short or men who are super skinny or men below the waist. It's to uplift fat bitches only. Rejecting a single mom means the guy has good character, but let's pretend that decision isn't a good character choice. How does she know this man doesn't volunteer at church or doesn't help an old lady fix a broken light or doesn't have a product or service that helps people out?
What I
I'm
want to
just
be
saying
clear,
equal
not
rights.
just for you, but for everybody out there, is the car you drive, your resume, your bank account, your accolades is not what makes you a high-value man.
Definitely not.
We are all defined by the sum of our deeds and our character, and you, brother, are coming up to the sum of 0. Be
Amen.
clear.
Modern women will try to redefine anything and everything to fit their worldview or standards. A high-value man is someone who brings a lot of value to society, which is why he's a high earner. It doesn't mean the man is high on morals, although a high-value man is usually moral because his business or career is legal and can be on LinkedIn. It's not Ray Ray or Pookie selling stolen clothes from Ross on Amazon. High-value men don't sling crack or scam people. In the video, you can see the guy realizing it's not even worth his time and effort to argue with these people. What do the commenters say? Highest rated comment at almost 2,000 likes said, I admire this brother for having standards. More men need to have the same standards. You don't need to be a high-value man to not date nor mess with single moms. I know they can be easy, but it's a trap. A woman says, it's a shame if a man states his preferences, standards, and desires. It's a whole problem. I agree with him completely. A lot of women are delusional men. Shake my head. That's the gynocentric society we live in. especially if the man wants a thin or in-shape woman, all hell breaks loose. And the ironic thing is that most of men's standards are things that women can control, like don't be a slut and stay in shape. It's just that these women don't want to be held accountable by their bad actions. They literally want the cake and eat it too. A woman responds to the comment, "A lot of men create single motherhood too because of their lack of commitment and their culture that can be heard all through music." No, it's the Chads and Tyrones, or it's the modern woman herself who chooses to be the single mother. Guy responded, "No, women are just as responsible for that as men. Don't shift blame. It's your body, your choice. That means you will always be responsible for who you let sleep with you. Decisions have consequences. That's just the reality of life." Point taken. Another man comments, "My mother was a single mother and she told me not to date one. She always told me how dangerous women can be. Seeing vids like this and the lack of accountability on social media, I'm so thankful for my mom's wisdom." Ask these single moms if they want their sons to marry single moms, and 9 out of 10 times, if they're honest, they'll say no. It's a lot different when it's their own son. This video was linked in an article and I'll go through it. It's written on the website called Essence. I guess Essence is a bougie black feminist online rag that promotes the same things as the rest of the modern women boss lady CEO gossip culture blogs. The article is titled, "Is it wrong for a man to not want to date a single mom?" And the author is, not surprisingly, a single mom. The subtitle is, "Some men prefer not to get involved with women who have children. While a preference is fine, the messaging to justify it can be problematic." Sounds like she's more bothered by the men's preference than the actual message. It's not like women tell men rudely no all the time and record those rejections on social media. Women say all the time that they don't owe a certain type of response to men. They don't owe explanations and so on. Then when they get a certain message back, they claim toxic masculinity. Let's get into it. My biggest fear was becoming a single mom. Apparently, it was not a big enough fear because, guess what? She's a single mom. And new single moms usually say things like these couple years after the divorce once the dust settles, and they realize that the grass isn't greener on the other side. The men they want, or maybe were secretly cheating with during the marriage, aren't dealing with them anymore because they're a liability now. Because it was no strings attached truly. Now the men are scared to be baby trapped because the single moms are looking for a stepfather to save them. I worried that taking on that role would shatter my dream of raising my kids and grandchildren with the love of my life. Despite my best efforts, my fears came to fruition and I've been tasked with reimagining what love and family look like. The fact that she's not saying why the divorce happened is more likely because her dumbass initiated the divorce on petty or trivial reasons. Had the man been a cheater, she sure would have stated that the man broke her Cinderella dreams of being a stay-at-home mom. But in reality, she had Tinderella dreams instead. It's never the case that modern women become single moms because their husbands die at the job site or at war, or some freak accident, as those aren't single moms, they're widows. No matter how much of a victim they claim to be, statistically, 80% of the divorces are filed by women, so 8 out of 10 single moms chose to live a dumpster fire life. One of my insecurities during the incipient stages of dating as a divorcee with a child was how my market value would go down. That insecurity isn't wildly abnormal for women like me, and we can all guess what fuels that. Of course, no self-respecting man will want to raise another man's kids. The goal of just about every living organism in nature is to propagate their own seed. If that doesn't happen, then the species would die off. Male lions, when they defeat the head lion of a pack, kills all of that lion's cubs so they can produce their own offspring. So of course, her market value is a lie at best, but if she's the overweight woman in the article's main photo, it won't even be that for most men. Think podcast bros raised by single moms dragging today's single moms through the mud. Think high-value men in group chats lamenting the audacity of a woman asking them to pay for a sitter. Think episode 350 trash of the late Kevin Samuels telling single moms they are close to worthless in the dating market. Yes, single moms are close to worthless in the dating market, just like most men under 6 feet are invisible to many modern women. The difference is, single moms chose to be single while men didn't choose their genetics. Matter of fact, single moms are worse than worthless. Worthless implies they cost nothing. Single moms with their bills and cost of raising kids are a liability and massive financial loss to any man that takes them in, which cannot be written off on taxes. Ask your accountant. There's no Captain Save-A-Ho write-off if the relationship with single mom doesn't work. It's not like in real estate. If you lose millions, you can carry those losses for years to offset the future taxes and pay less. Is it wrong for men to not want to date single moms? Absolutely not. Then what's the issue? No need to write a whole essay if she claims to agree it's not wrong. As a woman raising my son alone, I can admit that dating a solo parent comes with tons of responsibilities and unique challenges, especially if you plan to build a life with them. Saying single moms aren't your preference because you don't want to be a step-parent, deal with blended families, have to work around a mom's schedule, and accept not being a woman's #1 focus is fair. I can respect it. The unique challenge is described by feminism as empowering, when it's really taking on 2 jobs that were meant to be divided between 2 people. Feminism calls it being a super mom, while it should be called being super stupid mom. They point to the top 1% of earners for women, like celebs or the corporate executive women, but doesn't tell you that those women are wealthy enough to hire a full-time nanny from a poor country to live with them and raise the kids while they girl boss at work. However, saying dating a single mom is lowering your standards implies that single moms are less valuable, and that's simply infallible nonsense. The issue I have is with the tone of the messaging and the underlying toxic belief systems they amplify. I guess she wants a bouquet of roses with a $50 Starbucks card and a note on it that states farewell and best wishes every time a man rejects her for being a single mom. As mentioned, so many of these men were raised by single moms, and it seems their sentiments are projections of the struggles they endured in their homes. It's not a projection, but a realization that being raised by a single mom wasn't fun for them when they were growing up. The mom's working all the time, so no one's there to make dinner or play catch in the backyard. And money is always tight because there's just one income earner in the household. Kids don't want boyfriends coming in and out of the house. They don't want a stepfather either. They want their real dad there so they can live a normal life. That could range from having absent fathers, witnessing ongoing conflict between both parents, feeling like they had to choose sides, or not getting enough time with their father. All of these things can be realities of single-parent homes, and I agree, they suck. If you've experienced that, a natural response is to condemn this upbringing or try not to repeat the cycle. However, when that is expressed as toxic rhetoric like, dating a single mom is lowering my standards, which I've heard, it becomes both unkind and polarizing. So far, she has made a great case why you shouldn't date a single mom. Thought she's trying to convince us otherwise. Yeah, they do suck, and us guys tried to warn women like her, but she wanted to be strong and independent so she can live that single hoe life. This author is just mad that she's the deadweight in the equation. There's plenty of broke losers, the struggle rappers or Madden kings that would love to date a single mom, so why isn't she with them? Oh, that's right, they cost money to be with, because she'd have to support them as well. She'd be their free ride while they sat at home and ate all the food in the fridge. Is it toxic rhetoric when women call men dusty, broke, no good, or loser? It also feels like misdirected anger. You loathe the single moms but have nothing to say about the responsibilities of the sometimes subpar or deadbeat dads. A good number of men have the misfortunes of being there for the single mom, only to realize they're just an extra pair of hands and the ATM. Also, that's the single mom's fault for picking a loser or someone who she wasn't qualified to be in a relationship with. That is, Chad or Tyrone. She knew Tyrone, the college basketball player, lived a player lifestyle, but she had unprotected sex with him anyways. For those arguing, you should have chosen a better baby daddy, it's not my job to raise someone else's child. Maybe you're right. Accountability is needed when we as women choose terrible fathers, but accountability should not mean condemnation, and mistakes also don't make us less worthy of respect. Respect is earned, not given. Women have been having kids for thousands of years. It's nothing new, and most manage to stay with their man or the father of the kid if they're in a tribe. That's why the human population is in the billions now, and men are being more respectful than they should be. Single mothers should be ostracized like they have leprosy because look at what they raise. Most people in prison come from single mom homes. Most criminals come from single mom homes. Most rapists, most serial killers, most jackass pranksters come from single mom homes, and the list of society delinquents go on. They're all the product of single moms. Men who devalue women because they're single parents also show a lack of range when it comes to critical thinking, because single motherhood can happen to anybody. It isn't reserved for women who have one-night stands without protection. Women have songs that devalue men all the time, like "Don't Want That Little Dick Man." This is projection because it's the single moms who don't do the critical thinking, and men who become the stepfather. There are widows, women who were abandoned by their partners, domestic abuse victims who escaped with the kids, women who unsuccessfully fought for a marriage that was irreparable, and those who are brave enough to decide single motherhood would be better than a loveless marriage. No matter how it came about, it's nothing to be ashamed of. She, like most modern women, make the exception the rule to justify their bad actions. Of course, men aren't gonna blame the widow if the husband passed away, but the man abandoning the single mother either says she chose wrong or she drove him away with her actions. The abuse, if it is actual abuse, is probably less than 5%, because today's women claim abuse when their husbands have standards and expectations, which means they're not letting these women walk all over them. They're not co-signing their wives going to women's night out so they can get banged out in the parking lot. They're not going to stand for their wives posting bikini-ass pics on social media to advertise themselves to other men. Because worthwhile relationships have a cost to be in them for both people. Often or not, men are the ones who get the short end of the stick in today's relationships. They're the ones who commit the most but rarely get anything of equal value back. This is why there's MGTOW. What I also find intriguing is that there's a possibility that these same men who look down on single moms will possibly create single moms themselves. Marriages and relationships that involve kids break down every day, and in the process, you create the very thing you hate. That's the top percentage of men that modern women allow to have sex with them without a commitment. Most men don't want to create single moms because they'll be hooked for 18 years of slavery paying for child support, which is the reason why women like this author chooses to be single, because they can get benefits of being single from the father or the government or both. That said, I haven't had problems finding dates or people who want serious relationships as a parent on my own, so there are certainly men out there who are open-minded and capable of seeing the value in women who work hard to provide a good life for their children. This author doesn't have a ring on her finger, so she is having problems finding a man to commit to her and her son. Otherwise, she wouldn't be crying about men rejecting her rudely. As a matter of fact, an eHarmony survey found over half of male online daters would be happy to date a woman with kids. So if you're a single mom reading this and feeling discouraged, block out the negative Nathaniels and go where the love is. That's because these dating sites are hookup sites, and the key word is date, as in get some drinks, not to get married. Also, half the women on the dating sites are single moms, so it's not like the men are choosing the single moms over the childless 20-year-old thoughts. Men are choosing to try to smash and dash the single mom over the fat chick or the gold digger. Single mothers deserve respect. We are the parents on duty around the clock, especially if dads are absent or slack. Many of us are excellent caretakers, home managers, as well as compassionate, loving, and can also hold down the fort on our own even when we'd rather have help. It's fine to not want to date a single mom, but it's not okay to belittle us, especially if you came from us. Few single moms are excellent caretakers, but that's a miracle. It's not a conducive situation to anyone. From the moms, to the kids, to the fathers, to the men trying to date the single moms, yep, according to divorce stats, women chose that lifestyle over 70% of the time. So no, they should not get respect for making everyone's life harder. This whole article is about this single mom who doesn't want to face accountability for her choices. The only positive about this article is that it will sort of give women the impression that single moms aren't having the greatest time dating or locking a man down. It also shows more men the delusional thought process of modern women, because men need to hear from their mouth to know what type of people they're actually dealing with. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.